Welcome to the Empowering Choices Parenting Podcast. My name is Joshua.
I'm Erik.
I am Lucas.
Erik and Lucas are licensed professional counselors. We have created an online community with a website and an app full of parenting resources and courses. Most importantly, all of this is centered around a private community where you can share your struggles with us and others. If you are interested in joining, please check out our website at empoweringchoices.community or search for our app in the App Store by searching Empowering Choices. For a small monthly fee, you receive everything I talked about and you help support the show. Plus, every time someone purchases a membership, we gift a membership on your behalf to someone who otherwise could not afford it. All right, now on with today's show.
We're talking about the whisper socket.
So this is actually titled the 5/32 whisper socket.
I can't imagine a situation when I would need a 5/32 socket. Have you run across one?
In real life, I have no idea. But, but that's not the point. The point is sometimes you need in this socket in the situations that you get in because they are tough situations.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not noticed, we are not mathematicians, artists, or car mechanics.
Yes.
But we like to use their metaphors.
And have fun with it.
And I'm really bad with tools, but we're talking about the big thing where you have all the little things hanging and there's like a million options, right?
That's a really good description of a socket set there, Josh. With 0 nouns
Yes.
and all the pronouns.
Only
thing
mine
with the
doesn't
big thing-
hang.
Yes.
It's just it opens up and you pick them out and put
Okay,
them up.
there you
and,
go.
Yeah, put them in, and then you just look at it and go, wow, I wish I had a use for those. But that's the only thing I've ever won right there. Okay, gonna put it back away now.
So, but you're arguing that in this case, whispering is a tool that you want to use as a parent for certain kinds of problems.
When you get in those power struggles and you have a child that is absolutely emotional and absolutely irate and absolutely just coming at you, logic isn't going to work well.
Well, we've argued before that children aren't logical thinkers like anyway.
As a primary base, right. But studies have also shown that even with adults, the higher our emotions go up there, the more narrow our logical thinking gets.
Would you say that they are inversely related to each other?
No, I would say they're very related.
Technically, mathematically, that would be an accurate way to state it. But again, we're not going to pretend like we are one of those things that we're not.
Exactly. And that's why, because a lot of times when your child is in that emotional range, they're looking more, they're doing two things. One, they want whatever it is they want.
The emotions are saying, gimme.
Give me. And the emotions are there to try and wear you down as a parent to where you will give me what I want. And so those two things combined are trying to keep your emotions in there so that they can feed off of them.
And the less you can think logically, the more likely it is that you're going to give in to the child's emotions, which when you look back in hindsight, when your brain is engaged, you may go, oops.
Right, exactly. Because, and that's what we do. We try to be able to explain things. We try to be able to, share a little bit. We try to empathize. And all of those things just bounce off like, arrows on a shield. And primarily because the child isn't able to really take that information in and or doesn't want to. Because you're talking about it, this is generally when you're in a power struggle, and so their strong will is very kicked into high gear, and they're looking just to get what it is that they want, And so one of the things that I have used over the years is I would just begin to talk softer and softer as the engagement was occurring until somebody would say, "Can you talk louder, please? I can't even understand what you're saying." and a lot of times that would actually break the emotions.
That simple of like, they're just going nuts and they like can't hear you.
Right.
And it just kind of clicks their brain into a different gear.
It does, because if they can't hear you, they can't feed off of what it is that you're saying. you know, and so it's a socket that it takes a little practice to be able to use. It's a socket that you have to really kind of work with a little bit to be able to master it. But if you can know when it is with your children to start talking in a lower level, to start talking in a softer level, it's hard for them to keep their emotions elevated and still hear what you're saying, because what you're doing is they can't feed off of you if they can't hear you. And so now they have to stop to think about what you're saying. So then it actually kicks in some of their more logical thinking.
So let me explore this for a second. You're arguing that decreased volume causes them to have to like try to match you, or it doesn't give their emotions something to feed off of. Would there be a place for just being silent and patiently waiting in the face of their yelling?
Yes, but that's a different socket.
Okay. So you're saying that like that's a tool too.
That's a tool too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the lack of the like, you're not giving them anything to like grab onto.
Exactly. You know, and that's the thing about a socket set, you know, in real life, is that you have a variety of different options that you can click on and click off as you're working with whatever job that you're working with. And that's the idea of some of these tools. You know, the next podcast we'll do is on the repeat socket, you know, and at times you may use these sockets in one intervention, whereas the whisper socket may have helped them to come down into a logical thinking, and then you re-click in a different socket, which is the repeat socket, which then helps in a different way. And then you may have to then, you know, click in and out for what you mentioned as the pause socket.
Okay. So you're saying that like, yeah, this is just a variation, but yeah, there's lots of ways to look at it. So we'll focus on this one for now.
And I think something that is cool, I've been in situations before where I've been like a speaker at an event with a bunch of children or teenagers, and they're out of control and just loud. And somebody's trying to get control of them, and they're yelling louder and louder and louder. And I can come up and start talking very soft that I need everyone to start paying attention to what's about to happen. And it is amazing. Even a group of hundreds of kids will all of a sudden start zoning. They just start keying in, and they're trying to look like, what is happening here? So it really is an interesting kind of psychological effect that it has.
We've been trained in our culture as human beings is when one person talks, everybody's supposed to listen, you know, and so there's a bit of a slice of that in there. Or when an authority talks, we're supposed to quiet down and listen. And so we're kind of grabbing onto a couple of different slices of what society has trained us all in our culture to be able to do. And because I've seen what you were describing, Josh, work also very effectively. You know, and I've even seen people just walk up there and just mouth words that they weren't even saying. You know,
The ultimate whisper of this.
Yeah.
And just to watch the crowd go, shut up,
Yeah.
shut up, he's trying something, we're missing it, shut up. You know, and you're just up there, you know, mouthing nonsense, you know. But once everybody's quiet, then you go, okay, now that I have your attention, let's go over what I just said. And here's what it would have been if I had actually been talking. And then you just go with it. And the crowd's like, okay, we're listening. You know, when I worked in a treatment center, and I would work with kids who had, you know, great big rage struggles, this socket was highly effective. You know, I've even had kids who had, you know, furniture in their hand, and I'm whispering, and they put the furniture down and going, what are you saying? I mean, come on, can't you talk louder than that? And I'm thinking in my head, well, yeah, now I can. You know,
Asking you to put the furniture down.
right. Exactly. Yeah. You know, and they have commented later on, they're like, what was it you were saying when I had the chair? You know, I was picking it up to throw it. And I would be saying, I was just saying just what you said, you know, I want you to put the furniture down. And they'd look at me and they'd pause and they'd go, yeah, I'm so glad I didn't hear you say that. That would have, you know, gotten me more amped up to throw it.
Had you said it in a voice they could hear you.
Exactly. You know, and so it goes to that feeding part. You know, they're looking with their emotions to have that continually be fed so that they continually justify their side of the fight.
And if I'm recalling correctly, this skill and probably some of the other ones we're going to talk about are also in that verbal judo book too, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
Was that written for police officers?
Yes.
Or
By a police officer,
Yeah.
for police officers. And I think that one is in that book. Some of these tools and sockets we're going to talk about and go over, they're not. They're things that I've been able to develop throughout my career. But I think that one really is.
And we're not implying that your children are criminals.
Not a bit.
But in your brain, you may think of them that way sometimes. And, if you need to do your own mental judo to get to a, happy place, then, whatever it takes.
Well, and, since you brought that book up, that book was designed for verbal de-escalation on the streets with highly violent situations. And so when your kid is just losing their mind, that could be either or both. It just depends on your family.
Highly conflictual individual who may engage in violence. They may be six, but those may be accurate adjectives.
Yeah, we see families that have all of these dynamics.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we've both worked in settings which may not be people's homes, but they actually may be. Where, de-escalating emotions and violence is a very valid need.
Well, now that we've brought this socket out and we've kind of talked about it a little bit, let me tell you about an area that this socket is going to struggle in. If you have a blended family, the parent who is the non-blood parent, this is going to be a hard socket for them to use in highly emotional situations where the child is going after their blood parent, because your natural inclination is going to be to go and defend your partner. And so the last thing on your mind is going to be to whisper, and so you have to keep that in mind. It's going to take more practice and more training for a non-blood parent to be able to use this in the presence of a blood parent that is being gone after. And so it's probably not the socket in those places that you're going to want to use. With your own kids, it can be the perfect socket. Now it's the other non-blood parent that has to keep this in mind.
Would you say that the instinct to defend your partner is a bad instinct?
No, it's a human instinct.
Yep. That's what I was thinking as well. Like, that's not a bad instinct, but it may cause you to not use the most effective intervention.
It's one that you've got to be aware of. In some of the blended families that I've worked with, non-blood parents have had to kind of establish rules for themselves and with their partner as to when arguments occur, where they go, and how they kind of support from kind of the outside bounds.
Now, why would this be more of a problem for a blended family than, say, two biological parents and their biological kids railing at mom? Would not dad have the same instinct to want to defend mom?
In certain situations, absolutely. But you've also had all of this time since birth to be able to build a rapport and a continued relationship with the child that is flowing out of the blood bond. And where you have a blended family, you don't have those advantages, and so the child with both blood parents is more inclined to listen to the other parent in certain and specific situations when that parent would intervene and say, you will not talk to your mother like this, you will not talk to your father like this, versus when a non-blood parent comes in and says, you will not talk to your mother like this, and the child looks at him and goes, you're not my dad. You're not my mom. You don't have the right to tell me that. Now it's just inflated that whole situation. It depends on the amount of time that the parent puts into the relationships. And it's going to be more time for a non-blood parent than it is for a parent who is a part of that whole bloodline.
So it is a outflowing of the challenges of a blended family. And this is just one way where that comes out. Particularly the like, who are you? You're not my parent.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, holy smokes. I think that's the essence of the blended family kind of parenting conundrum.
Oh yeah, and not just that. I mean, it's a part of the essence of foster care situation or proctor care home. It's a part of residential treatment, because now you have a bunch of strangers who are telling you what to do. And I can't tell you how many times, I've heard people told, "You're not my parent. You can't tell me this." Which it goes back to further evidence about the blood bond, which we talked about in a different podcast. But it's something that you have to take into account, And with the whisper socket, it's one that is, difficult to use in those types of situations. Outside of those types of situations where the child is not going after the blood parent, it can work really well in anybody's hands.
So this is yet another tool for your toolbox. And we're not implying that it is the magic bullet for any of these things. But
No. In fact, because every kid is different, every human being is different, it's one of the reasons why we're trying to offer up over 30 tools to where you have at least something that you can pull from for that slice blend of child that you have either helped to create or that has just come into your world. And it may not be the same blend of tools that work for any of your other kids. But we're hoping with the podcast and the parenting manual that we can provide enough information and enough tools that always give you something to be able to pull from no matter what the situation is.
Well, we'll just have to keep that up on the next one, see if we can come up with another new, unique tool you could grab a hold of.
All right, let's do it.
You've been listening to the Empowering Choices Parenting Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, we would encourage you to visit our website at empoweringchoices.community. For a small monthly fee, we offer a website full of parenting courses and resources. You also have the ability to connect with parents going through the same struggles you are in a safe and private environment. Every time you purchase a membership to our site, we give away a membership to a parent in financial need. Help yourself become a better parent while helping others gain access to important parenting materials by supporting our podcast. Check us out at empoweringchoices.community or in the App Store by searching Empowering Choices. We'll see you on our next episode.